Hi everyone! I'm here with Laura in her beautiful shed today.
Hi Zoe. Welcome to my beautiful shed.
What is it you do in your shed, Laura?
Oh goodness. I do all sorts of things. Sometimes I escape from the children and my husband.
Very important.
Yeah. And mostly I invite people to come and do some energy work and body work. Sometimes we do meditation and build vortexes, and it's very energy based.
What do you mean by build vortexes?
So I work with beings from other dimensions, and I work a lot with the planet. So to deepen that connection, it's not always necessary, but if there's, I only really do vortexes if I'm called. So they're very powerful.
Okay.
So it's like opening, like a vortex would be like Glastonbury is an energy vortex.
Yeah.
So it's just about, so the ones I do are temporary, so then we close them down afterwards.
Okay.
So there's ones that can go into the earth, or we can open into different realms.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Getting tingles.
Yeah. They're doorways, really.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So if anybody has any questions about vortexes, that would be an amazing place to start. Laura, one of the things I normally ask people right at the beginning is something about their younger self.
Okay.
So, for example, what would your kind of 5-year-old self think or feel about what you're doing now, who you're being now? Would she be completely overawed, or?
Wow. I feel quite emotional thinking about that. Yeah. I guess like when I was 5, I knew there was something that I was meant to be doing. And I think a lot of children feel like this. It's like I thought I could do anything. I really did. Because I think not everybody, but some people come with that.
Yeah.
And then life and society and the way we live can really sort of squash that, and we lose it along the way. And I guess I got very lost, really, really lost along the way. But yeah, I think she'd be really grateful, and thank God that I'm back on the path. I didn't hear what I was meant to be doing until I was 36.
Yeah.
So it was quite late in life, and there was always this like niggling thing, like I used to ask the question a lot, like, this can't be it.
Yeah.
So I'd be stood there, I'd have a hangover, I'd be smoking a fag, like looking up at the sky and thinking, working a job that I didn't enjoy, and thinking, this can't be it, there has to be something else. And I was really fortunate that I heard what that something was.
How did you come to this work? Was it kind of, like step by step through all the things, or was it just a bolt out of the blue? Or
it was both, really.
Yeah.
So there was a step by step process. I had a calling, but didn't know it was a calling. It was just, I want to do that. That's what the calling was. And then I had a choice, really. Do I then do that because that's what I want to do? Or do I carry on doing what I think I should do, or what people expect of me? And I went, fuck it, I'm going to do that.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I did. I mean, that is a long story how I got to it, but the moment that I heard that I'm going to do this, was life changing. So I from that moment on, I left my job, I left my relationship, I left everything, and I got on a plane to Brazil.
To Brazil?
Yeah. within a couple of weeks.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
I got to Brazil and I thought, shit, I've joined a cult by mistake.
So what were you doing? Were you doing training in Brazil?
It was, yeah. So when I'd heard that I was meant to be doing this, I was actually receiving a healing treatment from somebody. It's like, this is what I want to do. And I got home and Googled it. This was 2007. And I contacted the name that I came across. And he said, well, we're not teaching that at the moment, but we are teaching this. And it was Frequencies of Brilliance.
Wow.
The founder is Christine Day. So I spent 5 years training with Christine Day.
Man, that's amazing.
It was pretty incredible. It was a really special time of my life. I don't think at the time I realised how powerful it was, but yeah.
What an amazing, just like following that nudge and just really going for it. If anybody has any questions about what Laura does with her Frequencies of Brilliance, we'd love to be able to answer those as well. And so can you describe a little bit of how that works then?
Yeah. So the frequencies work is exactly what it says, really. It's like frequencies of energy. So I sort of can feel different frequencies. Well, we all can, but we're just not all aware of that all the time. Yeah. So it works through the energetic field and into the physical body. So I use my awareness, and that's all it takes, is for my awareness to come through the doorways.
Wow.
So doorway, and then onto the physical body.
Oh my goodness.
And these doorways open. So as they open, we remember more of who we really are, of who we truly are. Yeah, I mean, it is just remembering. It's not bringing in anything new. Yeah. It's working with the person and their unique frequency. So I'm not bringing in things from the outside, or so it's very clear.
Wow, I feel like that is it's quite unique in the kind of energy work area. It's not like anything I've kind of really come across before. It's similar to things, but
and it doesn't work on the chakras or the meridians, or it's got its whole system. It's really beautiful. I feel really honoured to do the work. Yeah.
Wow.
And then on the other side of that, I do body work, which was also founder. That was also Christine Day. So she brought these two bodies of work onto the planet, and then that works. I work directly into the physical body and into the doorways that are within the muscles and the tissues of the physical body. So that feels more earthy, and that's more about opening the doors that we've closed in this lifetime. So often there'll be like an emotional block, or beliefs that we've taken on from others, or that we've made up ourselves as children. It goes down into the past life. So there's this beautiful balance of, it almost feels like the light work and the shadow work. If I was to put it into, it have to explain it, it's the two. Yeah.
Wow, that is incredibly powerful. And Laura's going to be working on me a little bit today, which I'm really excited about. We are going to come back and answer any questions that you have. But I don't know if there's, I think I would love to just end this live right now on asking, if there's one thing that you could have kind of gone back and told your 5-year-old self, what might that be now?
I feel emotional again. I think I'd really just want to hug her and allow her to feel loved, and for her to know that she is always loved.
Yeah, it's incredibly. It always comes back to that, doesn't it? Yeah. Wow. Oh, thank you, Laura. Well, I'm really excited for what's coming next, and we'll pop back in and let you know a little bit more about how it went. But bye for now.
Are you warm enough?
Yeah, it's lovely actually. It's really toasty in here.
Okay. So we're going to start with opening the doorways in your heart, because that's where we always start. And we'll see what happens after that. Hai, akashata keom, akainai. Keom, akainai. Hai. Just keep bringing that breath, touch the palm of my hand. It's almost like a letting go on the out breath, so you're letting the breath pour out. Yeah. Hi. And bringing your breath here to my thumb. Hi.
It's like boring. Just
that pouring a whole feel. Allow the sound, allow your body to move if it needs to. Hoi, akashata keom, akainai. Hoi.
It feels like, you know, the trepanning that shamans used to do. Maybe they still do it.
No, I have not heard of that.
Where they drill a hole in the back of your head. It's supposed to let the light in.
Wow.
And they did this in indigenous tribes. Yeah, it's like you've just done that to my heart.
Wow. Is the light coming in? What's there? How does it feel?
It feels like there's so much that that wants to be blown wide open, but is really struggling.
And take your time. So we're just meeting what's there with the breath, and your awareness, and bringing a curiosity. Hiya. What's the feeling, sorry? Can you feel it?
I just feel abandoned. Like I'm in a house and I'm all alone in this big empty house.
Hiya. Really feel that. Hiya. Feeling my hand. Really let yourself feel that. Allow yourself to be held. Allow it to expand, whatever the feeling is. Let it take up as much space as it needs. Keep allowing that.
Feels really nice, actually.
Good. Give yourself permission to feel that. Right towards it, really feeling it as fully as you can.
Here I am.
All to come up, to be felt. Anything she needs from us, anything she wants to tell us.
Fuck you. Fuck you all.
Now to come. Give yourself permission. She's very welcome here, Zoe. Very welcome.
Hey!
Strong table. Back.
Hey!
Your heart. All these parts of you. Right here under my hand. Something stuck in your neck. It's right here. Take your breath to it. It's very old. What's the sense here, or the quality, or texture? It's softening. Can you see what this is?
I want to say, I don't know why, I want to say it's my mom.
To breathe into that. Good. Let your body do what it needs to do. That's it. Yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm back with Laura after our session, and we're going to have a little chat about what happened, what she did, what came up for me. All the things, really. So Laura, where should we start?
Goodness. I think we'll start. A good place to start is to say that we started the session with heart opening.
Yeah.
So nearly all the time the sessions start with heart opening.
Okay.
Either the front of the heart or the back of the heart.
Yeah.
So it sort of allows the energy to really move, and there's something about that as we shift, humanity shifts from the headspace and the thinking and the patriarchal systems and the structure. We move back into our hearts and the flow and the intuition and the wisdom. And it's a good place to start, isn't it?
And what you were doing was I think I described it like you were trying to bore a hole in my chest. That's what it felt like. Felt like she's really working really hard into my chest. And it was super interesting. Do you want to describe what that was kind of doing?
Yeah. So there are doorways all over the body. I don't know how many, but there are a lot of doorways all over the body. And in the front of the heart here, there are 3. So I was holding the doorway with my thumb. It's quite firm pressure, as you probably felt. And then I bring all of my awareness to that doorway, and encourage you to breathe into it and bring your awareness. So really, the pressure, it's a way to bring you in. It's saying, come here. This is where I want you, in your heart, in your own heart, in this doorway.
Yeah. And I just want to share that it was, I said to Laura about 5 minutes ago, I'd done a lot of heart work, and I still wanted to resist it. I still wanted to tell her to go away. I was like, I've had enough of this. That's enough now. but I stayed with it, and I got kind of levels and layers of release. Yeah, it's so interesting. And then because you moved around a little bit as well. Is that different doorways, like you were saying, or?
Well, the movement in each doorway, it's different. Different doorways have a different movement, but in these ones, it's really bringing in that spiral energy. So it's a bit like a vortex, really.
Right.
So the energy comes down and sort of goes into the body. So it brings you through those layers. And then there are 3 doorways here on the sternum, but they're a unit. So if I work one, you'd always work all of them.
Yeah.
And then as we were working, there are other parts of the body that were calling.
Yeah.
So
I felt so much of it in my womb as well. Like the connection was just, I kind of kept coming back to that, and really, and right down through my root as well, just feeling that real kind of need to connect, but also release.
Yeah, it's often,
I
think especially when my focus for my work is working with women, often it is the heart and womb work together. It'd be unusual to do them separately. And sometimes it was also the throat.
I noticed that. That was really interesting. So do you want to kind of say a little bit about what you noticed specifically working with me, or like what kind of how you knew to go up to, like, and we can talk about the bit about my neck as well.
So I think like each doorway.
Hi, whoever's watching. Feel free to ask any questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer you.
Each of those doorways felt really different, but strongly connected, almost like there was a sort of a theme of the frequency that was held in each doorway. For me, from a worker's point of view, like I don't always need to know what's going on for you, although it does help if I'm asking questions. But really, a lot of it is the sense of, okay, so I know it needs more activation, or I know I need to hold. So with the holding in between the activations, there's just like, I just bring this love.
I felt that so much.
Just like feeling so much love for you and the journey that you've been on, and all the things that you've endured, and the gifts that you bring onto the planet. And it's and even that can be a lot for people, because people don't often experience
We're not used to it.
No,
we're not used to that. We're not used to receiving and accepting that kind of energy. And I felt that as well a little bit myself. I felt I was so comfortable with you, but there's just historically that ability to receive and accept that was hard.
And that's those are the layers of protection we put just to survive. I mean, so even being a child can be, it can be really scary, and with these small people, and we come onto this planet and there's traffic and there's busyness and everybody seems to know what they're doing. And so I guess it's really honouring the person that's turned up to work with me, honouring and saying, well done for surviving, well done for doing what you've done, and feeling those layers of protection and just bringing awareness to them, being grateful for them. So it's not about getting rid of those parts, it's more about bringing them in, actually integrating them, so that those parts of us are not cut off and we become more whole.
So with in the session in the heart area, I first of all met my 5-year-old self, who just felt so alone, so abandoned, and I'm very familiar with that part of me, but I probably don't, I definitely don't give her as much attention as she deserves. And it's I felt it really hard to kind of go back and be with her and really as you say, integrate her, because I think I still feel of her as separate in some ways. Yeah, it was super, super interesting. And then starting to work with my teenage self, where I just felt invisible. I'd made myself invisible. And again, that's something I never really think about it. I never really kind of work on that. You know, it's just behind the curtain, isn't it? It's
So I wonder why you felt the need to make yourself invisible.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, there's so much of not being accepted for who I was, either in my family or outside my family, and it was just, it was a way of surviving, of being invisible, not being a nuisance, fitting in, trying to be normal.
Or what we think of is normal.
We think of as normal. All the things, yeah. And so then Laura found a bit in my kind of neck area, which, it was very strange, because I do have quite a lot of problems with kind of neck and like neck tension and shoulder pain, and I know it's emotional, but it's kind of always there. Do you want to say a little bit about what you found? Or?
Yeah, I can't remember why I was drawn there, but I think I started on your throat and then realised that I just wasn't finding the spot. There was something. So then as I went underneath, and then immediately it was very apparent. So physically it feels like really hard, like tension, like a lot of the
I felt that. It felt like bone. Yeah. I was like, what is she doing to that bit of bone in my neck? I'm trying to push a bit of bone out of the way.
You can't move the bones. I think that's the thing, is like, we think that these aches and pains are normal, and people say, oh, it's old age, or I had this sports injury or this or that, and we just accept it. But actually none of that needs to be there. We're meant to feel good in our bodies.
And I want to say that really took me back to, it was super early. So you were saying something about what words are coming up, and there were no words because it was non-verbal.
It was pre-verbal.
It was definitely pre-verbal.
Wow.
So I was either an infant or it was, it was very early on. So that was, I can feel that there's probably a lot more there as well, but oh my god, so much release from that. And
so sometimes the stuff in the neck is like the stuff that we hold in the neck, because different areas of the body can hold different stuff. So it's not always like this, but the neck stuff is often childhood stuff where we replay the same tape over and over again. So it recurs through our life. So the neck work's really sort of really good base to start building on.
And it definitely felt linked to my mother in some way as well. So it's so difficult to verbalize as well when you're experiencing this in the moment, but then you're not consciously kind of thinking, oh, that thing's going on, or it's just happening. So it's quite hard to kind of explain.
It is. I mean, it is quite hard to explain, and I think because your body knows what it needs to do. So if your body's sort of shaking or moving, or you need to sort of move your hands, and then there are sounds coming out, and it's really just trusting that, like, our bodies are wise.
Yes.
They know what they need to do to release.
Yes.
I mean, it's that, there's that example that's given quite often where dogs shake to get rid of excess energy, or all animals,
or after they've had like a trauma, like they've almost been run over or something. But
because we, especially like British society, we're quite stiff,
keep it all together,
don't want to look like we're not together, or
So I want to share, actually, on that note, I want to share the had a really stressful start to the day yesterday,
for various reasons. My son was refusing school, and my husband was getting very stressed about it. And anyway, he was taking the kids into school yesterday, and they all left, and eventually my boy stayed at home, girl and dad went into school, but it all ended up being quite stressful, and I just was so called to go and jump in the river and scream and shout and growl, and I stopped myself. Because apart from anything, the river near where I live is right in the middle of town, so it's quite public, and I think they might have called the police if I'd done that. But it made me so sad, because that's so normal. It's such a normal reaction to go and do that, to really release. And I felt like I couldn't. And of course, that's the society that we live in. It's like, that's makes you, arrestable.
Isn't it? That's right, when it's illegal, isn't it?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be wonderful if they're in, I don't know when, sometime there'll be a society that we live in where when we feel like we need to do that, we're held in that.
Exactly.
So people will support us in doing that.
We're going to open a centre.
Yeah. We can just all live on a commune.
Oh, hey everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for watching,
Jane,
guys.
Julie, Hannah, Sarah.
If you've got any questions, so if you just joined us, we're talking about a session that I just had with Laura, and about some of the things that came up, but also how she approaches doing her work. And so you were also, I felt like because you were kind of boring these holes in me, and then kind of singing into them. It was like, I felt like it was a singing bowl at some point. It was incredible.
Yeah, the sounds just sort of come through, really. So I think the majority of people that do this work do make some sort of sounds, and each person has their own frequencies.
Okay. Mine were very guttural.
Yeah. And sometimes, they go, sometimes mine sort of really range from different things. But yeah, those frequencies can hit the doorway or hit the block, the energy block, and really they just cut right through.
Yeah.
And really help to disperse any.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that. Yeah. And it was so amazing. It was such medicine to have that, to literally feel that you're channeling that frequency into that doorway. It was, and receiving that was incredible. My brain's gone. I ended the session on a complete very light and fuzzy and just incredible.
Feeling good.
Feeling good. Yeah. Absolutely.
It does sort, when we've got these energy blocks in our system, it can be like keeping the lid on at these things can be exhausting,
Yes.
So I feel like for myself, the more body work I get done on myself, the more and more I feel lighter. And then day-to-day life, it can sort of build up again. So
absolutely,
I really like to keep on top of it, and I always get body work myself, and there's always something else to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's giving you that kind of practice and the permission piece as well of making the noises and moving the body and shaking, or screaming or swearing. Laura invited me to swear right at the beginning, and I even when I wanted to say it, I was like, this still feels wrong, but I'm going with it.
Do you know, I got some work recently with some friends that do the same work as me, and I felt like I've been suppressing all of these swear words, because it's not always appropriate, is it, to swear? Yeah. But for me, swearing really helps me to release. So I was able to, with a practitioner stood next to me, just release all of those swear words. It felt like this emptying out of stress and holding stuff in.
Yeah, well, again, I think that, honestly, I think so much of that relates to that disempowerment piece, doesn't it? Of you're not allowed to do this. And yeah, I think there is a frequency about swearing that helps you to get rid of a lot of toxic stuff, actually. And as long as it's not directed at someone, you know, I think swearing has a really powerful part in helping us to release. It's that real kind of, what's that word?
Release.
I was thinking more expelling.
Yeah. Because it is, it's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, so much. Oh my goodness. So Laura, what do you feel like is one of the most otherworldly experiences you've experienced, either as a teacher, like doing these sessions with people, or having the work done on yourself?
Goodness, I mean, there are just so many. There are so many. I mean, the one that really springs to mind is I really like to work with past life. So it's not necessarily past life, but it's like I have these memories of other lifetimes that I've lived.
Wow.
Some of them are really clear, but there's one where I'd been hunted as a witch, and I'd left part of my soul in this other dimension or timeline or whatever it is that people want to call it, and I was really struggling to get that piece of me back into this, because there's something about, you know, really the whole purpose of this work is bringing in all of those parts of ourselves so that we can fully experience being human in this lifetime. Because we don't want to be like airy fairy faffing about. We want a real, like, guttural experience of being on earth. Like, that's what we've come for.
Yes.
So there was this part of me that, I mean, it just felt like a key part, and it affected everything that has happened to me in this lifetime so far. And I worked with an amazing man. He's called Renan, and I think this, you know, he didn't just hold me for me to come back. He actually came into that timeline with me and literally dragged me back into this. So that was mind blowing. But I've had experiences with all sorts of beings from other planets and other earth beings, and I mean, people, you know, on the table, people can have all sorts of connections with other lifetimes, and the gifts really that you bring back into this lifetime. It's about that.
When I went into my kind of 5-year-old self, and once you'd kind of worked on that part of me, and I said I was sitting just kind of peacefully and feeling held. I meant actually held, not physically, but energetically. I felt held by the universe. Like I was still in this empty house, but I felt held by the universe, and I was so at peace with that. I felt so loved and so, like I didn't have physical people around me to say we love you, but I had that other connection, that other being held, which was just amazing.
Well, Laura, I wanted to thank you first of all for that session. That was just so profound, and I want to acknowledge for myself as well that I definitely wanted to run away from a lot of it, because I think when we do stuff like our own practice in particular, we definitely have those kind of edges that we, even if we're not comfortable with them, we're more willing to kind of go up against them. But when you're working with somebody and you're obviously feeling really safe and held, which you did so beautifully, and you're being challenged to go beyond those kind of normal boundaries for yourself. It's it's really challenging. And I guess this has definitely come up in my own work, and I know that other people, somebody mentioned it, one of my friends mentioned it on Instagram yesterday, in that this can deter people from pursuing this kind of work, or they might have one session and then they'll go, I'm never doing that again. Do you ever have that? Do people, is that a kind of pattern that you've noticed particularly?
I have had people that will come for one session. Mostly people come back.
Yeah.
I think it's always, so I hear that was your experience today, and it's not like that for everyone in every session.
Okay.
So sometimes what happens is that, you know, people really want to get to that place and enjoy being in that space. So the running away thing is like, you know, it's really valid, isn't it? And it's important to sort of really feel that, because that in itself is a frequency of energy, that wanting to move away. So with the heart work, really all I'm doing is holding your heart and saying, come back to your heart, come back to your heart, come back to your heart. So when I'm saying feel what's there, or bring a breath to my hand, or nearly everything that I'll say in the session is to get you to come back to whatever part of the body we're working on. So whatever's there for you to meet is a part of yourself.
Yeah.
So the running away thing is, what part of yourself are you finding it hard to meet?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's just so interesting to me, because I feel like quite an open book these days. You know, there's very little that I feel uncomfortable talking, especially with safe people, you know, about. And yet, and I feel like, you know, I'm quite happy to share so much of this, like my own challenges, and to voice them. And yet, clearly, there's some real kind of traumatized parts that I'm still holding on to, that I don't know, that I'm not quite ready to meet, or
and that's okay.
You know,
and that's okay. And maybe you won't be ready, and maybe you will. But I think, you know, from my experience, there has definitely been a sense of a timeline, and, you know, that the way we describe it about peeling off the layers, or going to a new level, or all those phrases that we use, you know, that does seem to be how it is. And because we're often working with our inner children, we need to go at their pace. We need to go at that pace. It's no good pushing or forcing,
dragging
or
them.
that's it. It's just like holding that space, and then when that part of you or whoever I'm working with, when the time is right and when they're ready, it will just click in, it will just slot in. So it's exactly right. And some things can be really difficult to feel, and I think there are some emotions that there's generally a sense where it's harder for people to feel. Like shame can be really uncomfortable for people. Anger, you know, there's so much conditioning around anger. You mustn't be angry, that it's really negative.
I've definitely got a block with anger, and actually I've noticed, probably because of the last year, so much anger has been coming up for me, and anger, frustration, anxiety, they're all linked, and that link to disempowerment definitely is really been coming up for me. And actually, yeah, I do struggle to show my anger and to express it, and sometimes even to release it, because it feels too much. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's too much of an emotion. Yeah.
So take a breath into the too much.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's that part where I want to just go screaming into the river.
So be it. So be it. Because there's something about anger, isn't there? Like, it's so empowering to feel anger. It's almost like it's the fire in our engine. It's what spurs us on to take action. And it's, our belief systems in this society are very much about squashing it and not allow it. So it's that disempowerment of like putting out the flames of our fire or locking them away when we give ourselves permission to really feel that, like, raw, that rage.
Yeah.
And that's when change can happen.
Yeah. And where I really connect to that is in my womb space. It's really like, and really connecting and integrating all of that energy. But in day-to-day life, that's very non-present, I would say. Or it's very tame. It's tamed. It's not wild. Oh my goodness, yeah, there's so much there. And actually just want to share as well that off interview, we've been talking about everything. We've covered everything.
Yeah, in a whole day.
I can't even list the things now, but basically we've sorted the planet off camera. So I suppose I would love to know, what is there one thing that you about yourself or your own journey that you typically don't share?
There's quite a lot, really. I think often people don't ask. Then I'm here really to hear other people's stories. So there's that. So there are two things, and one of them I'm still not willing to share.
That's fine.
And the other one is that I work with Pleiadians.
Okay. Yeah.
So they are my main team. They're my they support me.
Do you want to describe a little bit for anybody who doesn't understand what you're talking about?
Yeah, so they I guess they would be described as extraterrestrials. They, to me, are as real as you are sat here now. Like, I feel them, and what I feel from them is unconditional love. So just this beautiful love. Like, really, I feel so held by them. And so there are different stories about them, that they're our future selves. So they're ourselves, human race, which has evolved. Wow. And they've come back to support us in our journey. They're just beautiful beings and I hear people talking about first contact, and when's first contact going to happen? Well, as far as I'm concerned, they're here. Yeah. And it's just being open to that. So there's something about that, isn't there? Sharing that I don't often talk about with people, because of maybe the stigma attached with it, or how people might perceive me. But yeah.
Well, the White House is now, totally admitted that they've been covering it up for years. Haven't they? They've released all of these videos that UFOs and stuff are real. So, but it's so it's such an interesting time to be alive, because I just feel like all of these veils are being lifted suddenly, and it's like, you know, maybe we're peeking under a little veil, and it's like, oh my God. Oh,
there's just so much more, isn't there, that we don't see. It's like, but it's just there. You know, I had an experience the other day. I was just out walking the dog, and I got this sense of like, if I reached my hand out, I would be in another dimension, which actually also comes with, I've heard it associated with moving through the journey of menopause. So as you go through that portal, you just move through the veils. So it's like a birth, isn't it? I mean, even as I'm talking, I can see the birthing channel, and as we move through that, all of these veils just fall by the side. If we allow it, and if we're open to that, and if we know that that's available to us. Because I think sometimes that, you know, the menopause is talked about as a set of symptoms that need to be controlled or suppressed or made to go away, and there's so much more to it.
There's so much power to it, and oh my goodness, this is a whole episode in itself. I'm just starting to get into this because because I'm starting to feel that kind of draw into perimenopause, and it's something that is definitely not talked about. I mean, it's becoming more talked about, but it's definitely something that is being put on the shelf as in, oh, that's Granny's problem, we don't need to know about Granny. Grannies aren't important because they are going to be dead soon, they're no use to society. You know, this is very much the narrative that we've grown up with. That once you hit a certain age, you're irrelevant. And yes, you have the irrational temper, the hot flushes. You become a joke, don't you? It's a joke to society. And actually, there's none of the discussion of all of the amazing things that menopause actually offers to a woman, of actually stepping into your full empowerment. Not, you know, you've gone through the whole cycle of you know, the fertility cycle and everything that comes with that, of being a mother potentially, you know, but that's behind you now, and so you don't have all of the responsibilities that are associated with that.
There's a freedom in that,
there's a freedom, there's an immense freedom, and so much more that comes with that.
Because I'm already tuning into it, is that there's this sense of, well, I don't really give a fuck, you know.
Exactly.
This is me, and this is how I am, and there's such a strength in that. And a really strong frequency of empowerment and belonging. Like, I feel more now that I belong here on the planet and in my body than I've ever felt.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And I think as well that's been sped up this last year or so. What a time to go through this kind of phase as well. I think it's a blessing in some ways. Actually.
Not an easy blessing.
Not an easy blessing. No,
it's been challenging, hasn't it?
No.
But I mean, I think for me, everything that I've experienced in life, like the bits where I go, wow, you know, to come from a place of like suffering or stuckness and darkness. And I know it doesn't have to be like that, but for me, there's like the despair and the grief and all those things are a catalyst for stepping into like a new awakening, or a new, where there's a more opening. And it's that butterfly, isn't it, in the chrysalis, and a rebirth. So that's what, for me, that's what this last 18 months has been feeling about, because I can really feel the energy from everybody. Like, people are really starting to wake up, coming out the other side of this last 18 months.
Yeah.
And people are now feeling more empowered. They're so compressed and depressed. And
isn't it interesting though that we, you know, I think actually purely because we experienced our reality, our day-to-day reality, in a way that nobody thought possible prior to that. Who could have, you know, imagined something so, you know, straight out of a fiction novel of shutting everything down and making everyone stay at home, and you know, not for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, but for a year and a half, you know, whatever. It's like, because we've actually been forced to experience an alternative reality, now we're more open to other alternative realities, or rather, you know, just what is. It's just that we're so conditioned not to see anything beyond what we're
presented with,
whatever's
on the television or on, you know, all those programs.
And now it's so much easier to question and to kind of go, that doesn't add up. No, what a time, my God. And what a time for you to be doing this work as well.
It is a blessing. I love my work. I really, really enjoy it. Every single person that comes through that door is like, wow, you know, you've turned up to do the work. It's incredible, because it's not, I mean, I guess this relates to what you were saying initially, is like, it's not, there's no pansying around with this work. It cuts straight through. So it does take courage to show up on my table. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. And I love it. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. You know, I really feel like we've got to the point where, like you said, there's no pansying around anymore. We're just going to get on and work through this shit, because there's nothing more important right now. There's nothing more important than working on our own wounds and traumas and actually healing that stuff, so that we can birth a more fair world, a more fair world, authentic, living from the heart, living from our truths, connecting with each other
on a deeper level, isn't it?
On our truth level,
Because so much. It's like with the emotions that come up, it's like they can be hard to feel, like, and they can make you want to run. But they're just emotions, and surely we're not, you know, we're just not taught to feel them.
No.
But that's part of being human, isn't it? Is that we have emotions.
And even you just verbalizing that makes me kind of in my head go, what the actual fuck? We're human beings. Emotions are a natural and normal part of us. And yet it's so conditioned that we shouldn't feel. We shouldn't feel. We shouldn't show our emotions.
It's just craziness, isn't it?
Let alone processing them in a healthy way. And of course, that's what ends up in people going crazy. And, you know, acting out and doing all the horrific things. So what more important work is it to do?
And it's almost like when we learn to feel them, it becomes easier. It's like anything, isn't it? It's just like anything we do in life, the more we practice. And if it's a specific emotion, so some people may find that, like I know for some men, like crying is a real taboo.
I find crying hard. Honest to God, I have always found crying, especially with other people, but even alone, I found crying. It's my last resort in terms of release. I'll do everything else before I'll cry. And as you know, in that session, I was just like, ooh, it's all coming out.
It feels better after a good cry, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. And that's the whole point, is that it's a release mechanism. But clearly there's part of me that says it's not safe to cry. And yeah, it's so interesting.
Where that belief came from.
So interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, Laura, I just want to say thank you again. And I guess would you like to share with us where you feel like we might end up in 50 years as a species?
Or what?
If it's not too scary.
What immediately came is utopia and green. So really giving back the planet her life. I feel really sad about all the concrete and the tarmac and because we're just suppressing the earth the way that we suppress ourselves. So as we sort of start to open and release and open our hearts, and that will just happen naturally. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where we'll be. It's already written, it's already there.
I can't even imagine that in my head right now. I mean, they've got like a fairy tale image, but it's so,
it's lush and it's green and it's beautiful. It's alive. Yeah. So be it.
So be it indeed. Thank you so much, Laura. Where can everybody find you?
Well, I'm here in the shed in Topsham. This is where I work from.
The shed, Topsham.
The shed, yeah.
That's the address.
My website is lauraoseland.co.uk. So that's Laura and then Oseland. And I'm on Instagram, and I have a Facebook group that's just for women, or for anyone that identifies with being a woman, which is called Way of the Woman. And we do monthly meetups on a full moon, sometimes other times of the month. So it's as well as the online group, we have physical meetups, mostly in the forest, which is just lush.
Where do you do that, or is it a secret?
Well, yeah, we do it mostly at Stoke Woods.
Okay,
in Exeter.
Yeah.
But we've got one in August, a 2-night retreat at Brook on Dartmoor. And yeah, sometimes they've been here or it would be common. But yeah, Stoke Woods is the go-to. Beautiful ancient woodland. Thanks, Zoe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And watch this space. There might be some more.
Yeah. Let's do it.